have, which is you're alive and you want to be happy and you want to work hard and you want to.
Before he was Gene Simmons, he was Chaim Witz, a poor boy from Haifa, Israel. Born on August 25, 1949, to Hungarian Holocaust survivors Flora and Yehiel Witz, Gene's earliest years were steeped in silence and survival. His mother rarely spoke of her trauma, but her haunted eyes and long nights told the story. When his parents' marriage collapsed, Flora raised him alone, sewing buttons and working in factories to keep food on the table. Sometimes dinner was just bread and milk. Even as a child, Chaim understood struggle. He sold fruit by the roadside and crafted a winter coat from an old army blanket. Comic books became his lifeline, colorful escapes from a gray world. Heroes like Superman and Spider-Man spoke to him before he even understood English. In their courage, he found hope. That little boy, hungry, bullied, and alone, was already building the armor that would one day become the Demon. The American Reinvention. In 1957, 8-year-old Chaim and his mother left Israel with little more than a suitcase and dreams. They landed in Queens, New York, lost in language, culture, and cold winters. Chaim's father stayed behind, remarried, and disappeared from his life forever. Flora worked 15-hour shifts in factories, leaving Gene to fend for himself among babysitters and strange neighborhoods. The American dream was harsh and noisy, but Gene adapted. He devoured English from comic books and TV shows, idolizing Elvis Presley and the Beatles. He legally changed his name to Eugene Klein, a symbolic rebirth. By his teens, he was hustling again, selling cacti door to door, picking fruit, working in butcher shops. Poverty never left his shadow, but it sharpened his ambition. Every rejection toughened him. He wanted more than survival. He wanted fame, control, and respect. When the Beatles performed on The Ed Sullivan Show in 1964, Gene didn't just see music, he saw escape. From classroom to stage dreams. By 1970, Gene had earned an associate degree in education and was teaching 6th grade in Spanish Harlem. His $75 a week salary barely covered rent, but his mind was already elsewhere. He taught by day and played guitar by night, chasing melodies instead of lesson plans. Music gave him power, something he had never felt before. Along with Paul Stanley, he formed bands like Rainbow and Wicked Lester. They experimented with folk rock, but Gene wanted something louder, darker, unforgettable. When Epic Records shelved Wicked Lester's debut album, Gene didn't give up. He burned the tapes and started over. He wanted music that hit like a hammer. By 1973, he and Paul recruited Peter Criss and Ace Frehley. Together, they created something that would change rock forever. Their mission was simple: shock the world. With makeup, fire, and blood, Gene transformed himself from a shy immigrant into the Demon, the monster America couldn't look away from. Birth of Kiss, Fire, Blood, and Fame. Kiss was born in a small Queens club called Coventry in 1973. Only a handful of people showed up, but Gene breathed fire that night, literally, and a legend began. Their look was strange, theatrical, and magnetic. No other band looked like them. Bill O'Coin, a TV director, discovered them at a gig and promised fame within 2 weeks. He delivered a record deal with Casablanca Records, and by 1974, Kiss was on the road, hungry, broke, but unstoppable. They played over 300 shows that year, often to half-empty rooms, but Gene's relentless drive kept them alive. His demon persona became his armor, breathing fire, spitting blood, and commanding the stage like a god. When the live album Alive dropped in 1975, it saved both the band and Casablanca Records. Suddenly, Kiss wasn't just a band. It was a phenomenon. The kid from Haifa had become the face of American rock rebellion. Sex, power, and the making of the Demon. Behind the fire-breathing spectacle, Gene Simmons was cultivating another obsession: sex. He bragged about sleeping with over 4,800 women, keeping Polaroids of each encounter as trophies. His self-control with alcohol and drugs made him sharper than his peers, but his compulsive lust became part of his legend. Every conquest was proof he'd escaped weakness, the scars of childhood replaced with ego. Yet, those habits also masked deep loneliness. His relationship with Cher in 1979 ended after he fell for her best friend, Diana Ross, in one of rock's most notorious love triangles. Fame fed Gene's appetite, and he fed off it in return. On stage, he was immortal. Off stage, he was hollow. His demon makeup hid more than a face. It hid the fear of ever being powerless again. He turned that fear into empire, monetizing rebellion and lust until even his vices became part of his brand. The rise, fall, and mask removal. By the late 1970s, Kiss had become a merchandising machine. Their 1979 Dynasty tour filled stadiums, but revealed cracks in the foundation. Drummer Peter Criss's drug addiction led to erratic behavior, while Ace Frehley's clashes with management grew toxic. The magic was fading, replaced by exhaustion and ego. In 1983, Kiss did the unthinkable. They took off their makeup live on MTV. It was a rebirth. Their album Lick It Up went platinum, proving they could survive without masks. Still, Gene's heart wasn't fully in the music. He was chasing Hollywood fame. He starred as a villain in the 1984 sci-fi film Runaway and pursued acting roles that mirrored his stage persona. Yet, beneath the fame, Gene's empire was fracturing. His relationships strained, and his obsession with control alienated those closest to him. The demon had removed his mask, but vulnerability, the one thing he feared most, still stayed hidden. Love, family, and the long road to marriage. In 1983, Gene met Canadian model and actress Shannon Tweed at the Playboy Mansion. Their chemistry was undeniable, but commitment was another matter. For nearly 3 decades, Gene refused to marry her, claiming monogamy was unnatural. They had 2 children, Nick and Sophie, and built a life together, but Shannon's patience wore thin. Their relationship became the emotional core of Gene's reality show, Gene Simmons' Family Jewels, which ran from 2006 to 2012. The show portrayed a softer, family-oriented side of Gene, but hidden tensions brewed behind the cameras. In 2008, a leaked sex tape and infidelity rumors pushed Shannon to her breaking point. Their 2011 wedding, televised as a grand spectacle, looked like redemption, but insiders whispered it was damage control. Marriage didn't erase the betrayals, it covered them. For the first time, the demon had to face consequences not on stage, but at home. Scandal, lawsuits, and the crumbling persona. As Gene aged, his fame collided with controversy. In 2010, ESPN makeup artist Victoria Jackson accused him of sexual misconduct during a SportsCenter appearance. He denied the allegations and later settled the case. In 2016, a dishwasher at his Rock and Brews restaurant filed a lawsuit claiming harassment. Around the same time, his son Nick was accused of plagiarizing a comic book series, bringing fresh embarrassment to the family. Then came the backlash from his attempt to trademark the devil horns hand gesture in 2017, a move fans saw as greedy and absurd. The rock world turned on him. Once untouchable, Gene became a lightning rod for criticism. Behind closed doors, leaked footage from Family Jewels revealed private conversations never meant to air, showing Gene's temper, insecurity, and fear of losing relevance. The empire he'd spent decades building was showing cracks, not from outside attacks, but from within his own reflection. The businessman behind the makeup Gene Simmons wasn't just a musician, he was a master marketer. He built Kiss into a billion-dollar empire with over 5,000 licensed products, action figures, lunchboxes, pinball machines, even Kiss-branded coffins. He once said, "Anything worth doing is worth selling." Fans called it genius. Critics called it soulless. To Gene, it was survival, a lesson learned from hunger and hardship. Yet, his obsession with control made him ruthless. He clashed with bandmates, fired employees, and turned relationships into transactions. His focus on branding often overshadowed the music itself. For decades, he was the face of excess, the man who turned rebellion into a business model. But as time passed, that success came at a cost. Fame had replaced faith, and profit replaced purpose. Even Shannon, the woman who loved him the longest, admitted that living with the demon meant competing with his ego every single day. Legacy of fire and fragility. Today, Gene Simmons stands as both a rock legend and a cautionary tale. The boy who escaped war-torn Israel conquered the world, but in chasing power, he lost pieces of himself. He turned trauma into armor, love into spectacle, and pain into profit. Yet, beneath the money and makeup, the ghosts of Haifa still linger. At 76, his legacy is undeniable. He redefined showmanship, marketing, and rock stardom. But his personal story, the survivor's son who built a monster to hide his wounds, remains the real one. Time has stripped away the fire and blood, leaving an aging man reflecting on the empire he built and the family he nearly lost. Gene Simmons' story isn't just about fame or scandal. It's about a boy who wanted to be invincible and became the demon to make sure no one ever saw him cry again.